Welcome everyone to the Phoenix webinar on DryLINK training. I appreciate everybody that can make it today, especially in light of the weather events we have going on around the country. During this webinar, I will try and make sure I go over the basics of how to get started with DryLINK. A little bit about me. I'm Aaron Hynum. I've worked for a thermistor for more than 10 years. Most of that time with the Phoenix brand. I'm currently the business unit leader. I've always loved technology and innovation, and that has led me to the path of DryLINK. Okay, so I'd like to start at the beginning here, which would be downloading the app. And there are a few spots where it's good to point out things, trouble spots that people have run into. First of all, you can see over here we have we're showing that we have it in the Google Play Store for Android, and we have it in the Apple App Store for iOS. And while I'm at it, I'll just mention I have two screens going on. This screen is mirroring my phone so that I can show you some things in real time, and then over here will be my presentation, and I'll be switching between the two. And as you can see, this is live. It's 17 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin. We've got an 8-degree dew point, 10 grains, quite dry, which is expected considering how cold it is. Okay, so once you download the app, you will be asked to fill in some basic information, about yourself and your company. And just so you know, whenever you set up from scratch an account, you're really setting up a company. And so sometimes people don't realize that they might get some Bluetooth dehumidifiers for the first time. They might have 2 or 3 different people in their company independently set up the app. And what they've done is they've set up 2 to 3 separate companies that will need to be merged. And I'll kind of explain that here as we go along. So one of the first things that's going to happen is it's going to ask you to verify your email address. And when you get to that point in the app, you'll see this, check your email. And here's one thing I want to point out, because people, sometimes it goes to your junk or your clutter, and then people are pushing this resend email multiple times. So what happens is when you hit resend email, the only link that is going to work is going to be the last one. So if you click this 5 times, you're going to have to find the 5th one. If you find any of the first 4, it won't work. And that confuses people sometimes, and then they wind up calling us. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, here, this screen is showing, this is me receiving my email, and then this is the link to click. And when you click it, it will open up a web browser and tell you that you're verified, and you can now go to your DryLINK account. And once you've done that, you've created your company. Now you can invite your other employees to this company. So there are a couple options here. So first of all, the person who creates the account is the owner of the company. The person who is the owner of the company is the only one that can authorize merging the company with another company. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But so when you invite people, you can make them an administrator. That means they'll have the same rights as the owner except for the company part. Or you can make them a technician, in which case they can't add or remove other employees from the company. So that's kind of the difference. So you just type their email address and hit send. You can invite as many people as you want. And then what you would do is if you've had 2 separate people create 2 separate accounts, you just need to figure out who really should be the owner of the company, and then they can just go and invite that person, and their whole company that they just created will be brought into this company, and they'll be under it so they'll both be in one company. Okay, and once you have that figured out and you get into the app, I just want to show you some of the basic navigation. I'm going to go over here to my phone live to show you some things, and I'll kind of work from the bottom right, the alerts tab, and I just want to show you what we have in here. You'll see there's some equipment alerts listed here. Now this is a demo account for my house, so some of this stuff, I'm not paying attention to the filter age too much, and there's a few other things about not being connected. But if we go up here to this gear, we can get a drop-down menu, and sometimes this can be a little hard to push. And you can see these are the different types of alerts that are available. Equipment alerts, job status alerts. Now, job status alerts requires the dry phone, And then there's job management alerts. So I'll show all three of these to you. If you look in the equipment alerts, the first thing you'll see is on all of our alerts is you can select who are the people in your company that you want to receive this. So for equipment alerts, you might want to have a maintenance or service type of person receive these alerts. In my company, there's just me, and I have nobody receiving these alerts right now. So the alerts you can receive are this first one, which is not connected. This is meant to say, hey, this is a Bluetooth device and no DryLINK app has seen this piece of equipment in 14 days. So this would be the kind of notification to say, hey, is this equipment lost or what's going on with it? The next one is reservoir full. This would have to do with the pump out system on the dehumidifier. So it could be that the hose is kinked, or maybe there's a problem with the pump itself, or maybe the float switch is stuck in the up position. But for some reason, you have a reservoir full situation. So you can receive notifications on this. Same thing with system protection. This means the dehumidifier either is seeing inlet air that's such a high temperature that it needs to protect itself, or it's low on refrigerant, one of these two. Then we have the low battery notification for DryLINK devices that use batteries, such as DryTag RH, DrySense. And then here's the filter change for your dehumidifiers. That's based on hours of usage. So those are the equipment alerts. If I go back here and I go into job status alerts, first thing you're going to see is when you go into job status alerts, it shows you the different jobs. So I'm actually just going to go into this job, which is my house, and I have this enabled. And you can see that there are 11 units that are on this job. There is one recipient, which is going to be me. And then when I go down and look at what alerts can you receive, you'll see that there's a number of them. This one is saying DrySense offline. So the DrySense is a moisture content sensor, and I'll explain in a little bit more detail. But you can set the duration. Like if the sensor goes offline, you might want to receive a notification. Equipment, which is either turned off or there's another notification for it losing power. So you can receive notifications there. Same with dry tags going offline, and this is the duration of time. You don't want to just receive notifications if it momentarily maybe didn't get a signal correctly. And then you have notifications for high and low chamber RH, and you can set your thresholds. Same thing with temperature thresholds. And then as we scroll down, you'll see that there is a chamber GPP slow to decrease. So you can set two things here. One is the time. So in 12 hours, if the chamber hasn't dropped by 10 GPP, and you can pick whatever you want here, then send me a notification. So that's kind of saying, hey, my job isn't proceeding in the way that I had hoped. Send me a notification on that. So those are the job status alerts. To get these in real time does require the Dry Phone, which is the device that I would consider like a hotspot that's allowing for remote monitoring. And now I'll show job management. Job management just has a few different things, and this might be good for people back in the office. So for example, if the job duration, this is set at 30 days. If a job goes really long, hey, there must be something wrong. Did somebody just forget to close the job and we're not billing it? What's going on here? Then you have the job completed and new job started notifications. So those are really kind of back office notifications. And while I'm thinking of notifications, if anybody has any questions and you want to type them in, that'll notify Jenny in our marketing department, who's on the call with me, and she will either save them for the end or ask them as we go along if that makes sense. So feel free to type those in. Okay, so that was the alerts section. And I'm going to show you the settings section. And this was the things that when you first had to set up your account. So you can see my name is in here. I just set up this DryLINK demo at Gmail account. You have to have you know, an email address. My phone number is in here. You can go into units and you can see that you can switch any of these measurements between imperial and metric. You can change your password here. Job management alerts is just another place to access that. And then under the notifications tab, this is how you want to receive your notifications. You can see right now I'm not receiving notifications, but I could select either of these or both of these, or as I have it now, none, and then I won't get any notifications. So that's for me, that's for my particular notifications. And then if you go into my team, this is where you'll see, first of all, you can add your logo, and I just took a picture of the DrySense box, but if I go up to this ellipsis up here and click on that, you will see that you can update your team info, you can invite users, and you can change your logo. So if I click to change the logo, it's gonna, I'm not gonna do it, but it would take me to, well, I might have to. It's gonna take me to a web browser, and it's gonna allow me to just update a new logo. So that's how that works. I'm not actually gonna do it right now. And then if I go back here to update my team info, you can see this is where you put in all your information about your company. I'll just leave that for now. And then the invite users is down here, and we talked about that link earlier in terms of how, why you invite users to your company, and you want them to all be under the same company. So that's what the account settings tab looks like, and then it shows your app version down here. You want to always make sure you keep that current. My apps are just updated automatically so that I don't get out of date. Okay, so that is what the this thing I'm clicking up here, this is called the hamburger button, and this just gives you the little slide out, and I just click to home just so you can just get the visual of where we're going in the app. So I showed you alerts and settings. Next, I'll show you equipment and jobs. Jobs being this is the basis of the whole app, but I'll show you the equipment tab. What the equipment tab does is it takes you to the nearby tab, and it finds any Bluetooth equipment that it can. And this little target means you can click it and flash the unit so you know which one of these is named, this has this name. And there's different ways to search here. If you had a lot of equipment, you could select, what you want to see. You can see the nearby, obviously we're on the nearby tab, that's why that's selected, but you can select any of these to change your filtering. And you can also type in here and search for things. So if I went in here and typed T, we had one unit with a T. I would assume, oh, we have a couple units with a T. And if I typed in the 2, then it probably, that's interesting. I'm not sure why. Oh, TR. Okay, so at any rate, this is how you do your filtering here. So I will go over to the company tab. Now on the, I'm going to clear the filters. On the company tab, it gives you all your inventory in your company. You can see I have different things, DryTag RHs, DryMax XLs, AirMax, different meters and things. So this is all the equipment in my company. And you can go into any one of these, like this is a DryMax XL. Now I don't have it turned on. You can see I haven't used it in quite a while, but this is what it looks like in the app. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the home screen and show you the jobs tab. This is kind of the meat of the program here. When you go into the jobs tab, it's just going to show you the live jobs, or the current jobs, I guess I should say. The completed jobs will not be shown. You can clear the filter and show them all, but we didn't want to show it because you could have hundreds of jobs as time goes on, and rendering these maps uses some amount of data, so we didn't want to just render, and it takes a little time. Now the maps are nice because if I click on it, this is a current job, and this happens to be my house, but it's just going to try and give me directions to get to the job. I just used my default mapping program. Now if I go back and click on the name of the job, it'll bring me into the overview page, and you can see that indeed you have an overview screen, and there's an equipment tab which will show you the equipment that is on this job or has been on this job. And then there's this drying data tab. This is where you go to take your daily readings. So when we look at the overview, and I'm going to show you how to set up a job, add equipment to the job, and take your first daily readings. But for right now, I'm just going to show you what it looks like in the app. So you can see there's kind of a, here's your job status alerts. Remember I said, this requires a dry phone to get these in real time. It gives you your start date, location, your chambers are listed here, and I just have one. You can add contacts, you could add more chambers. I just have one chamber. I just called it my basement. You have some basic insurance information here. If I click on the equipment tab, this is the equipment that is currently deployed, and if I scroll down, you can see there's some equipment that's been removed. So we keep track of when you move stuff around or take it off the job. So that's all the equipment there. And if I click on the drying data tab, this is where you're going to see your daily visits. And this send records is how you access the drying report. It winds up being a web link that I will show you. And up here we have kind of a cool thing, this graph, and we're actually adding to this functionality. What this will show you is you can select any of the dehumidifiers, and I'm just going to, so the DryMax, I'm just going to pick the DryMax here, and I can put the temperature on here. You can see that it was in my basement and I moved it up into my office, so obviously the temperature went up, but the grains have remained low. You can see it hasn't been on, so there's no grain depression. Here's the actual grains versus RH. So you can just play around with this, but it's kind of cool, and you can use this if you are wanting to put a reading in one of your visits. You can actually pick a point off of this, and there's ways to you know, zoom in by tapping. You can get zooming in on one particular day. This is a lot of days. This wouldn't be quite as normal. You'd probably have a job for 3 to 5 days or something. So anyway, it's just an interesting feature, and it shows the readings down below. Okay, so if I go back here to my daily visits, you can see you can take as many as you want on any particular day, and so you're not limited. You could take 5 in one day if you want to. The plus down here in the corner is how you initiate a reading. So I'm going to click on that. You can see that it picks today. Now you can go backwards in time, which is a cool thing about using smart equipment, is that if you're streaming data to our cloud, it's there. So if I couldn't get to the job yesterday, I can just say, hey, I want at 9:15 yesterday, I want the readings from the cloud to go onto this job. And then you just hit OK. And I'm going to cancel. I'm not going to create a reading, but it would go to our cloud and get all the readings for all the smart equipment that was nearest to this time. Okay, so when you actually do hit take a reading, I just did the current reading, it goes and it pulls the outside conditions from the National Weather Service and puts them in the app for you. Then you can see down here we have our unaffected area reading, and when we click on that, it's going to look for sensors that are nearby that could use it. So these are DryTag RHs. You could use these to, and this is a dry sense. It actually has temp and relative humidity as well, so you could use that. They're really meant for moisture content. So you can pick any one of these sensors to automate your reading. So let's go ahead and just pick one, and we will put it in there. So now it gave us the unaffected area. I think this is probably in my basement since it's 64 degrees, but anyway, it put it in here. Then you would go on to your basement, your chambers. So when you click in there, it'll try and gather the readings from the dehumidifiers. Now it's looking for an affected area reading, and it's I broke the association here. This R250 had a DryTag RH on it, but we can make it so these are automated. So if I click collect reading, I can again pick a different DryTag and assign it to the affected area, and it'll put that one in there. So this one, let's see, I'm gonna hit collect reading. Since it doesn't have a DryTag RH associated, I'm just gonna put a manual reading in here. I'll just put 70, and it seems really dry, so 70 and 30. So there, well, obviously it's showing a negative grain depression because I just made that up. So you obviously wouldn't have that, but this is how you do your readings. You can see that you can add an HVAC reading. And with that, you can also select one of these sensors to automate that HVAC reading, and you can add chamber notes. And once you are done, once you have selected which sensor you're going to use for which readings, it will stay persistent throughout the job. So when you come back next time, you don't have to take this step. You just hit take reading and it does it. So once you have all your readings, then you hit done, and you can see you have a green check mark here. So we're pretty set to go. Now the next thing would be to go over to moisture readings. I'm going to show you moisture readings when we get to dry sense a little bit later. Okay, so that was just kind of some basic navigational parts of the app. I'm going to switch back to the presentation here and show you. I want to show you the complete ecosystem here, just so you know what it is that we're all talking about here. So we started with DryMax XL. This is the first Bluetooth-enabled data logging dehumidifier, and by the way, it's half the size of any other extra large in the market, so it has a lot of advantages. And we created the app, and we had the data streaming from the dehumidifier to the app, and then to build a drying report. And we wanted to see, did people appreciate the time savings here? And we saw that they did. People started using it. So we continued on, and we created this thing called the dry tag. Now, the dry tag is meant to bring any piece of equipment into the ecosystem. Now, it doesn't have temperature and relative humidity, so but it does have tracking abilities. Plus, it has an accelerometer in it, which means that it senses motion, which means that when you attach it to a piece of equipment and you turn it on, it knows that it's on. And since it knows it's on, if somebody were to turn it off, or if it was to lose power, we would know that, and we could send a signal to the dry phone, and then ultimately back to you in not real time, but near real time. So you can be proactive when either you lose power or somebody turns off the equipment, like a homeowner. Okay, so then we built this into the Air Max, and we call this the Air Max BLE. And it's only at list, it's only $26 more than a regular Air Max, but you get the benefits of dry tag, but you also get the fact that you don't have to set this up in the app, because we scan the dry tag and we scan the Air Max at our factory, and all that information is in our cloud. So you'll get a blue bar down here that'll just say, hey, there's an Air Max BLE, is this yours? And you say yes, and it auto loads into your company, which is not a big deal if you have one, but if you buy 100, it's a big time savings. And then what happens with the dry tag is, once it knows the serial number and it knows when the equipment is on or off, it can track the equipment usage for you and put it on the report, so it can tell you the days of usage. We do it by calendar day, so if you turn it on at 11:55 p.m., we count that as one day. So we're doing calendar days, but we have all the information on the usage of the equipment. And also, when the dry tag talks to the phone, we know the GPS coordinates of the phone. So now we know the location of your equipment, and we can give you basically free inventory tracking, which is just called last known location, and we can show you on a map. And I'll show you over here on the app, what that looks like. If I pick a piece of equipment, if I can find one that is not in range, hopefully, you can see that it gives me here a map. It's showing me the last known location, which is probably my house again. It is. But that's just what that looks like in the app, just so you're aware. All right, I'll go back to the home screen, and we'll continue on here. Another thing we did was we made it so that you can put the dry tag on any piece of equipment you want. So competitive equipment to Phoenix, it doesn't matter. Put it on anything you like. And now, we've only tested the vibrations with our own equipment, but it seems very likely that the on-off functionality will also work with other similar pieces of equipment. Okay, and the next thing we did was we launched the Dry Phone. Now, the Dry Phone, think of it as like this is your technician showing up at the job and talking to all these different things. Now, when the technician leaves, now this is optional, you can take the Dry Phone, which is literally a older model smartphone with our app loaded, and it's locked down so that you can't make any phone calls, you can't load any other apps. It only streams data from DryLINK. So you put that in place of this. You can put it anywhere on the job site as long as it's in Bluetooth range of the equipment, and you have to plug it in or it will run out of power. But if you leave it there plugged in, it will stream data while you're gone, and you can get the alerts and do the remote monitoring. You can actually take readings, like I showed, the daily readings remotely from anywhere if you have a Dry Phone on the job. The next thing we did was we added the Bluetooth functionality to our Dry Max, which is our most popular dehumidifier. So anyone that you buy now from us is called Dry Max BLE, and that is Bluetooth. And there's a retrofit kit available. It's 4 screws and 5 connectors. It's literally a display board, MSRP $199, and it adds Bluetooth and data logging to your Dry Max. And then after that, we added what's called DryTag RH. This is really a versatile unit because you can use it as a standalone thermal hygrometer. It has all the benefits of DryTag, but it has this temperature and RH sensing built in as well. So what's really cool is if you set it up as a standalone thermal hygrometer, and I showed you in the app, you can make it automate your affected, unaffected, and HVAC readings But it's even more versatile than that because you can put this on any dehumidifier. You just take off the screws, mount it to the back of the outlet grill, and you put the tip where you would normally put your meter and fasten this back on, and now it's streaming data. And so now you've turned any dehumidifier into a smart enabled dehumidifier. So the only, I do want to point out one difference. We don't have memory on the DryTag RH. So if you want historical data, you have to have a dry phone. Now, you don't, if you just show up and you want to take readings, this works fine. But like on DryMax XL and DryMax, there's historical readings every 15 minutes. So like before when I told you, oh yeah, you can just backdate the readings. You can only do that with DryTag RH if you have a dry phone on site. That's the only way to backdate readings. Okay, and then just recently we launched the last part of the ecosystem, and this is an important one, DrySense. So the cool thing about DrySense is it's a moisture content sensor that has two screws on the two pins on the back that you can push into wet drywall, or you can unscrew them and add this attachment here because the pins are only for wet drywall. Don't try and push them into dry drywall or plaster or something, you're going to break them, which they're replaceable if you do. But anyway, you can use this attachment and then put stainless screws into anything you want. And now you're streaming moisture content from the job site into the app and ultimately building this drying report. So when you take that daily reading, it goes onto this report. And all this equipment usage I'm talking about and all these serial numbers, it automatically goes on the drying report. You don't have to do anything to get them there. So there's a lot of time savings built in there. Okay, now adding a smart dehumidifier. And smart air movers. As I mentioned, this is what happens. You get this blue bar that shows up, and this is any unclaimed equipment. If you turn it on, it's going to send this signal out to people's phone, and you claim it. And once you claim it, it's yours. So I'm just going to try and show you in the app. So hopefully I've got a unit here that I took out of my company, and hopefully it's going to pop up a blue bar for us. And sometimes if you don't, you can hit this refresh button up here, which should help out with getting it to show up. Oh, I was going to use the training webinar. I actually have it in my company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that I could go over here, delete it from my company. That's a DryTag. And then once I've deleted it and hit the refresh button, I get the new equipment bar, and then this is what it has. It shows up. Now, normally this might just be whatever name comes from the factory, but I've already named it training webinar. So it's saying, hey, is this training webinar new equipment? Is this yours? You can use this to flash the light if you're not sure which one it is. So I'm going to add it back into my inventory. So it's really that easy to add equipment to your inventory. Okay, let's see, let me take the app back to the home page. Going back to the presentation here, this is just showing adding non-smart equipment. I'm going to show this in a video here shortly, so I'm not going to get into too much detail other than to show you can add any piece of equipment into the inventory. I'm showing here that you would click the plus and hit add equipment. We're calling this an R250. It's a dehumidifier, LGR extra large, and here's the information. You want to make sure you put the serial number in there. Okay, so that is how you add non-smart equipment. Now this is adding the DryTag RH. So you can use it as a standalone thermal hygrometer, but you can also attach it to a dehumidifier. And this shows what it looks like as a standalone thermal hygrometer. This shows it attached to a piece of equipment that's not ours, and this shows it attached to a piece of equipment that is ours. Now I'm going to try and show you on the app over here. I have a DryTag. Now they send out a signal every minute when the DryTag and the DryTag RH when the equipment isn't running or vibrating. So with the DryTag RH as a standalone thermal hygrometer, if I go into my equipment tab, so you can see it popped up here. And so if I want to add it, I'm going to show you a few different ways you can add it. So this is the what's called the UUI. I think this, yeah, the UUID of this unit. You can see I've got great signal strength. I'm going to hit add. Now, when I hit add, I've got some choices. One choice is it's showing me, hey, these are non-smart dehumidifiers in your company. Do you want to add it to one of these? Now, the other choice that you have is at the bottom, and it's kind of blocked by this thing. I'm going to try and move it out of the way if I can, is add new equipment. Now, if you want to add as a thermal hygrometer, you would click add new equipment, and then you would type in the name, whatever you wanted to call it. I'll just call it demo. And then I would select meter, hygrometer, and then you would type in the information. So that's how you would add it as a thermal hygrometer. Now, going back here, the other way, let's say I want to add it to this R250 right here. I would just say, yes, I want to add it to this one, and it's showing me it's going to happen. So I click OK. Now it says they've all been added and claimed successfully. And then if I go look that unit up, let's see here, R250 36E4, you can see now it has a DryTag RH banner. I can actually click on it and look at it. You can see it's got the banner, so I know it's associated. And you can see it's got readings. This is, 1030. This is the most current readings. So, so that is how you add the DryTag RH in the app. Okay, let's see. I'll take this back to the home screen. Now, we talked a little bit about the benefits of DryTag. This is just showing, we give recommended installation spots for our equipment. We have a document you can get online, and you can see some of the benefits here. We have equipment turned off or lost power notifications. We talked about the last known location, which is free equipment tracking. It's advanced inventory tracking capable, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We found that people want more out of the inventory tracking, so we have such a system that is in development. And it transmits to the app even when the equipment is off, which is great. It really helps with job setup, and I'll show that to you. And it automatically provides the days of usage and the serial number right onto the drying report for you, so you don't have to do that. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you, this is my colleague Larry Carlson, and he's just literally showing how easy it is to attach a DryTag. Once you know the location you're going to add it, there are literally 2 self-tapping screws, and all you do is screw that into the plastic at the location you want it. But please check our documentation on selecting a location. You want to make sure you don't, hit anything on the equipment that would cause it a problem. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go to the next video. Now, I said that you can use the DryTag on any piece of equipment, and I'm going to show you how you would do that in the app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. So this is in the equipment tab, and I'm going to click on this and hit add equipment. So I'm going to start by adding the piece of non-smart equipment. So I'll call this the DE Velo 24. I'm going to go back and put that as an air mover, and then low profile. You type in the manufacturer, the model, and the serial number. Now we do have a thing that it's called save and add another, where it keeps everything except for the name and the serial number, so that it kind of helps you if you're adding more than one. And put the serial number in, that's important. So you can see it has the save and add another, but I'm going to hit the save and finish at the bottom. And so once you have that, and keep in mind, we called it Velo 24, DE Velo 24. So this is company unit. So here it is. I just want to show you it exists in the company. So now once that exists in the company, we can pull the battery pull tab on our DryTag to activate it. And you can see it shows up here. We can shake it if we needed to, but it shows up here. And we'll click View Units. Now we're doing this one that's right next to it. There's some other ones, but this is the one we want. And we're going to add this. We're going to click Add, and it's going to show us all the things we can add it to. We're adding it to DE Velo 24, and it's going to make that association for us. And you can see it's now added. So it's literally that simple to add. It's really that simple to add. Whoa, I apologize. It's really that simple to add a DryTag to a non-smart piece of equipment in the app. And then once you've made that association, you're good. It should stay like that. Okay, so now I'm showing the DrySense. And, we want to look at some of the things here, like how do I assign the DrySense to a moisture point? How do you use the attachment? And this is important. You can hit this refresh button anytime you want to take an instant reading. Otherwise, it's just going to data log every 6 hours. We're actually looking into moving that up to every hour just to add a little more resolution to that. And one thing people need to know is before you get this first data log reading, so if you set this up and you're doing remote monitoring, you go back to your house and you say, okay, cool, I want to look at my remote monitoring, and there's no reading, it's because it takes 6 hours to get that first reading in the cloud. So that's why that is. So now if I go back in, so I'm going to switch over here to my live view on my phone. If I go back to my job, I'm going to go back to the one that's my house. And if I go into the drying data, I'm just going to go to this, let's see, this was today's reading. Let's see if I can edit that. Now, if I click on moisture points up here, you can see we actually have 2 of them already set up. So I'm going to click in there. You can see this is showing that it's dry here. This one, we don't have a reading. This sensor might not be on, but at any rate, I want to show you how to add a moisture point. So you see this button down here. If you didn't have these already set up, that you would be starting by adding a moisture point. And what it does is it asks you which dry sense do you want to use. And again, for all the ones, you can see this one's not on. That's why we don't have the target. But if you click the target, it'll flash the light so you know which one you're talking about. You can also label them. I mean, mine is a 3 on it, so I know DrySense 3 is that one. But I could flash the lights if I wanted to, but I'll select that one to take my reading. And it asks me to confirm that I want to use that DrySense to take the readings. And then it's going to say where, it's going to ask me to add this moisture point. So what is it? I'm going to say it's a wall, and I'm going to say that we're putting it into wood. And then if I scroll down, I have a drying target. So you can put whatever you want for your drying target. Once you change it, it becomes your default for that type of material. And you can see down here, I'm using DrySense 3 as my equipment to automate this reading. So I'm going to hit save and finish. And once I do that, okay, so I've already got it assigned. You still want to transfer it? That's fine. I had it assigned to another moisture point. And so there's one called wall 8, and it's called wood. And so we've created that moisture point right here, wall 8 wood. And we might have to refresh the unit to get a reading. Oh no, we have our reading. So it's reading 8 because I don't have this actually in anything, so that's dry. 8 is the lowest number that we have. So that's how you can set up your moisture points. You can see that normally your first reading would be red and it would over time go to green as it hits the target, but we're getting green instantly. And just to show you in the inventory what the DrySense, or in the equipment list, what the DrySense looks like. So the one we were just looking at here is called DrySense 3. See if I can refresh the reading for us. Okay, so that refreshed the reading. If you're in Bluetooth range, you can refresh the reading at any time. You can see we got an instant reading with temperature, relative humidity, and moisture content. And we have our bar down, our target down here if we need to locate which unit we're looking at. Okay, so that's what the DrySense looks like in the app. So let's go back to the home screen, go back over here. And now I said that I was going to show you how to set up a job, add equipment to the job, and take your first daily reading. So we're actually gonna walk us through a video showing that. So we're gonna need to go into the jobs tab to get started. And once we're in the jobs tab, we always have this plus button here, the red circle, the white plus to add things. And we'll just call this job the Phoenix Demo. And then you have this optional description tab. We'll just go to the address. You can see we use Google autocomplete to help us speed up data entry. You can add whatever your insurance carrier information is for this job. And once you have all this information, you could add a contact, you could add a job note, or you could create the job. But we want to click on this next chambers because we want at least one drying chamber for us. So we'll go in here and we'll call this the test chamber. We'll make it category 2, class 2. I'll put in some dimensions. It's nice that you can just put in length, width, height, and the app does the rest for you. It's calculating your floors, walls, ceilings, all these types of things. Then you just put in your percentage wet. And again, it's calculating wet square footage for you, which is very nice. And as we go down, you can see that you can add a chamber note. You could add more drying chambers if you needed to, but we're just going to click the Create Job button at this point. And then we will have, completed the first of our 3 tasks here, was to create the job. So now we're at the overview screen of the Phoenix demo. So now that we've done that, the next step would be to add the equipment to the job. And it's really nice because when you click this plus button, if you have smart equipment, it shows you what's around you instead of your entire inventory. Now you can uncheck or check whatever you want, but it makes it so much faster, and you've got targets if you want to see what equipment is what. And then once you have selected the equipment you want, you tell it which chamber. Now if you just have one, you can hit assign to all, and then all of these will go in that drying chamber. I can hit finish, and you'll see the equipment being added to the job. And once you have all the equipment in there, then you can go take your daily reading. So you would move over to the drying data tab, and on the drying data tab, again, same thing. We got this plus to add our readings. So you can see this video was actually made a while ago, and I was showing how you can go backwards in time, but we decided to not show that in the video, so I cancel out of that. And we actually just accept the current time when this was made. It pulled the weather here again. When we made this video, when we didn't have dry tag RH, so we couldn't automate this. So we just were manually typing in what the unaffected area temp and RH were. And then you just, this is where you could automate it now. And then you have your test chamber here, which you can click into. And then you can see it gathers the readings from the dehumidifiers. So, we had just turned them on, so we're getting a grain depression warning. But that's all you have to do to take your readings. And then you can click the Done button, or you could add an HVAC reading or a chamber note. But and it gives you this option for add other reading. But when you click Done, you can see you have all your readings in here. And then you could click over to the moisture readings, and you can click into the chamber. We just have the test chamber. Now, I didn't have any moisture points, but I added some to show what this looks like. And again, at this time, we didn't have dry sense, so we were just adding manual readings. So I think I put, we did a couple in the wall, in drywall. You can see the drying target for the drywall was 12. We hit save and that added wall 1 drywall, and we did save and add another, and we got wall 2 drywall. And then I did one more, which was just switched it to wood, I believe, and that gave us a drying target of 10. I just wanted to show the difference. So now we had all 3. Now, as you saw before, if you have dry sense, it'll try and automate these readings for you and tell you to select a meter. But if you don't have dry sense, you can just type in the reading that you see, and you'll see what it does is it starts your progress bar. It only has 1 point, so it just says it's red because it's not at the goal. But as you get closer, it turns yellow, and then it turns green when you hit the goal. So here you have your 3 readings. So once you have all that, you click Done and Finish, and now you're done with visit 1. So it's really pretty easy to do that. Now, in this video, I was trying to also show off the graph and the functionality there, and the different things you can click on. But the main point was showing the readings. So here's all the air readings for your first visit, and then here's all your moisture readings. So it's really that easy to set up a job, add equipment to the job, and take your first daily readings on that job. Okay. Now I just want to talk about using the drying report. I had mentioned the Send Records button, and just to show you, even if I do it live, if I go to this job I have at my house, and I go to the drying data tab up here and hit Send Records, it'll take you, it'll send you a link Now what I did was I had this, let's see if I can find this quickly. Hopefully I can. And maybe, oh, here it is. So if I click on this link that I texted to myself, you can see that you get the drawing log. Now I can pinch here so you can see it. This is what it looks like. So you can send this link to anybody. It's really meant to look at on a computer. And actually I'm going to close this, go back to the app, and I'm going to show you on the computer what that looks like. So this is a drawing log. So this is a live link. So once you send this to somebody, if you take another reading, it'll show up on here. All you'd have to do is hit refresh. So here it has all your job information. This, you can click these to get, this will create PDFs. You can get a full report or the job summary. You can see you've got, these are your chambers, and this is all of the affected area GPPs by chamber. You can look at them. You can look at your moisture readings. These are your moisture content in the chambers. This is your outside and unaffected readings that you can see over time. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that we have, here's all the equipment on the job in total, all the chambers. And then here's the individual chambers. You can go in there and get all the readings too. And I got one dehumidifier. So we got the affected area and then the outlet of the dehumidifier. So that's what that looks like. So I just wanted to show that. If I go back here, again, anyone on my team, can anyone on my team send the DryLINK? Yes, they can. Does the link update in real time? Yes, it does. We talked about sending PDFs, and I could also show you what the PDF looks like. This is that same job. It looks very similar, just the graphs have been kind of condensed. There's all your equipment usage, and then here's the individual chambers and all the readings. So that's what that looks like. And then just wanted to mention a little bit about remote monitoring. This is the DryPhone. Can you use your own phone? You can. The only thing I would caution there is you have to figure out how to stop your screen from going dark, because if you don't disable that, if the screen goes dark, like phones normally do, you will not be remote monitoring. You have to figure out how to disable that. And the other caution about using your own phone is just that we can't support every phone on the market. That's one of the reasons why we have a DryPhone. We do support that. How do you set it up? It's pretty simple. You just enable alerts and it walks you through. It just says, hey, you're going to be monitoring all this equipment we can find in Bluetooth range, and you know, you're going to, and tells you to plug in the phone and leave it in Bluetooth range, things like that. What can you do remotely? Well, you can look at readings, but you can also take your daily readings remotely. This is the Xactimate billing code for remote monitoring, WTRRM. It's $55 a day for the gateway, which would be your DryPhone, and up to 10 sensors. They pay an additional $3 a day for additional sensors. Okay, and lastly, I just want to show you quickly this advanced inventory tracking. So this is a really cool. Now this won't be free. The other one is free, but this will monitor your warehouse equipment, your equipment on your trucks, and your job sites. There's no human interaction needed with this system. You can receive alerts if job site equipment is left behind. For example, let's say somebody has a drying chamber that's called crawl space, and they put a dehumidifier and maybe an air mover in there, and then a different technician comes to pick it up and doesn't realize or remember there's one in there. Well, with this system, if we know you had all this equipment on the job, and then in your truck, we see that two things are missing, in fairly short order, we can send you a notification and not only tell you that you're missing equipment, we can tell you the serial number of the equipment that's missing, and we can tell you what drying chamber it is in. So thereby saving you from losing equipment. You can get instant inventory audit reports. So we know some people pull down all the equipment in their warehouse every month or every quarter and go through it all and write down all the serial numbers. Well, with this system, we'd be able to do that at any time you want, and we could do it instantly. So it would save all that time. You can also put statuses on things, like some of them are automatic, like on a job or available, but some of them are manual, like you mark it as needs cleaning or needs service so that it doesn't show up in your available list. Now there will be a monthly fee for this. Now I also want to show what this looks like. So here is the inventory system, and this is showing again my house. This is equipment I have. We have 2 pieces missing, just meaning it hasn't been seen in over, I forget, I think it's 40 days. I have 8 on a job. So if I click on that, it should filter, and just show only the ones on that job, and it is. And you can see here's the equipment that I have. If I click on what do I have available, in case I get a new loss that comes in, I have this equipment available. And what's cool, we're still building this out, but on the location side, you can see we have fixed locations, so we can add whatever we want. So we can add the address of our warehouse, and it'll put a geofence around that. Anything inside that, we're going to say is at your fixed location. Your job locations come from the DryLINK app. So when you create a job, we put those locations as a temporary location. And then you have mobile locations, which is where you name a dry phone like truck 1, and then we follow it around, and we know its GPS coordinates from the phone, and so it's kind of a moving target. So these are your possible locations that we have so far. So this whole system is going to be available later this year, and we'll charge similar to what other inventory systems charge. However, we think we have way better functionality. So that's what that looks like. And with that, I just want to say, what now? We can provide individual company training from the Phoenix sales team if you need that for your company to begin to get the DryLINK system into your normal processes. I just wanted to mention the DrySense is available now, so everything is available except we have a ship hold on the dry phone. We're switching our provider to Verizon, so hopefully that will be available shortly. We have this thing called the DryLINK Retail Kit, which is available for purchase. We give you what we think you would need for a standard retail or residential water loss. So you get 16 dry tags, you get 6 dry tag RHs and 4 DrySense at a special price, and that's discounted. And then coming in the future, we're going to have a new IoT and modern water damage restoration course. This has already been approved by the IICRC, and it will get you CE credits. It'll be a half-day course, so watch for that at the various drying schools. And with that, I'm going to see if we have any questions or comments. So hopefully Jenny will join me here and let me know. And while we're doing that, I'm going to put this information up here, which shows my contact information. And when we're done with questions, I do want to show you a spot on the website where we have videos that you can watch on your own if you want to learn how to do specific things in the app. So thank you everybody very much for attending the webinar, and I'll see if we have any questions.
Yep, we had a couple questions come in, and you did just answer the one regarding the DryLINK phone, and we're wondering when it will be available.
Yeah. So yeah, the dry phone, believe me, that's high on my list. I think we're in the final stages of with our new provider, Verizon. I think that will be online soon. So please check in with your Phoenix sales staff on that one.
Another question is what is the release date for the retrofit kit for DryMax?
I'm sorry, what is the what for the retrofit?
The release date.
Oh, that's available. For a while we had a problem that we were so back ordered on everything that we didn't have any of the boards, but it should be available now. Its MSRP is $199. Your Phoenix salesperson should be able to assist you with that, but they're available.
And the last question that came in is there a set I'm sorry, I'm echoing, so it's hard for me to read this to you.
Yeah.
Is there a way to set different rooms in a single drying chamber for the purposes of moisture readings? For example, having drywall readings in a living room, a bedroom, and a dining room all on the main floor.
Yeah. Okay, this is a great question. So the answer to that is that is the next feature that we're releasing, which will allow you to have rooms inside a chamber. So our answer right now would be, a chamber, you could call your chamber living room and then call your other chamber, bedroom. But people have told us, hey, but what if those two rooms are all part of the same chamber, and then how do I get my dimensions? So right now we don't have that ability, but it is the next feature that we are releasing into the app. So that'll be coming.
And that was the last of the questions that have come in. We can wait just a couple of seconds if anybody has any last minute ones they want to type in.
Sure, and while we're doing that, I just want to show you that if you go to the Phoenix DryLINK and you go on the overview page, so you'll get this, it'll say use Phoenix DryLINK ecosystem. It's just the overview. If you scroll to the bottom here, you're going to see that we have all these videos, how to set up a DryLINK account, how to connect your dry tag beacon. There's all kinds of different things that just walk you through it. You can see it's loading a little slow because I'm using the bandwidth doing this webinar, but these videos should load up for you and they can help you quite a bit of the tasks. You can also see, you know, here's a quick start guide, here's a training manual, here's a link to go watch previous webinars. We have these are more like sales promotional videos, but there's a lot of things on here, and there's links to get to the Google Play and the App Store and things like that. So, all right, did we have any additional questions?
Nope, it looks like that was it.
All right. Well, once again, I want to thank everybody, and I also want to thank Jenny and Tracy for helping me with this webinar. So thank you, everyone. And if you have, I'll just put this up one last time. If you have any questions, here's my email address. Just send me an email, and I'll make sure we get you taken care of. Thank you very much.